Hi, welcome to Computer Man First. This is a tutorial on how to avoid being phished. That's PHISH for those who may not be aware. And phishing is a tactic used by hackers and scammers to try and get you to do part of the work for them. So today we're going to discuss a few best practices you can employ yourself in order to keep from creating a headache for you and your organization. So there you are. You're being efficient, you're feeling good, you're getting a lot of work done, things are going well, and then maybe you get an email that looks like it might be important, but it needs you to download a PDF. Well, hold up before you click on that email. Let's take a closer look at the headers of our email. On some applications, depending on what your client that you use to get your email is, you may have to click a little plus sign or something like that to get to see the headers. We're going to show you an example. We have a typical email client here. We've got a list of folders we could look through, and we have where the list of our emails would be. We only have one email at the moment, but we're going to use it as an example of things to watch for. Now, I have made this email specifically just for this particular video, but if you were to see an email that came from someone with the word phishing or hack in it, that should get your that should get your spidey senses up just a little bit. So let's take a look now. If we see this email and we open it, oh, no, not a new tab, let's just click it and open it. Okay, so we open this email and we see right here it says that it came from GonePhishing at hacku.pro, and it says it went to GonePhishing at hacku.pro. Now, in this particular instance, I actually did email myself, so that is why they match. But if you get an email that says it is from you, you should be suspicious immediately, because you probably know that you did not send yourself that email. So right off the bat, you're not going to click anything in that email. You're going to go, okay, something's going funny here. But if we look at our email, we see here, if we had no real surprises up here, nothing surprised us. When we look at the email, we see that there's a link we can click on, and there's a QR code. Be suspicious right off the bat. If there's a link, that should automatically make you say to yourself, I have to be extra vigilant and aware right now, because whenever I'm sent a link, that is a serious security risk for me. If I click on a link, I allow software to execute on my computer. So if it's not a link that I requested and it's not something that I'm really familiar with, I should not click on it at all. I could pick up a phone and I could call the person who supposedly sent it to me, if I know that person, if it's someone in my company, and ask them if they actually sent me this and what it is really about. And that's one of your safest things to do. If you get something that's supposedly from a fellow employee, pick up the phone and talk to them. You could text them, and that's pretty good if they respond back to you that, yes, I sent to you, that's safe and what have you. But if you were ever actually targeted by serious hackers who wanted to get information from you, they could possibly even spoof a telephone number so that the text you got back wasn't from who you thought it was. But what they're not going to do is have a lot of success, at least not yet, fingers crossed, with pretending to be someone who talks to you and has certain mannerisms that you recognize, etc. So we are suspicious because we have these two links. We are suspicious because how does a QR code help you install an update on a computer? What's going on there? This thing seems to be talking about PCs because it says machines. Then that's not usually how you refer to your cell phones, especially because these are probably your personal cell phone we're talking about. And then finally we have this link here. So maybe I think it's legit and I click on the link, and look what it says here. It gives me a warning. The link doesn't match. Okay, huge red flag. There's like a guy outside with two red flags waving them back and forth trying to get you to not cross the railroad tracks just now. So this would be, your final line of defense. If you keep going from this, you're just asking for it. So let's go anyway. And, we go, and what happens to us? But we get rickrolled. There's old Rick. So, if you actually were to click on an actual scam that was a phishing attack, you'd probably get a lot worse than rickrolled. Now, sometimes you get lucky and their hack doesn't work on you because you're missing a particular update that created the vulnerability, things of this nature. But all of those details, you can avoid all of those bad things simply by taking a peek at the header, looking for misspelled words, looking also for, if you're getting an email from, let's say, gmail.com, or in this case, hacku.pro, but then when you look a little closer, maybe, it has some other email instead of gmail.com. Maybe it has, gmail.net, or maybe the word Gmail is spelled wrong, or maybe it says your Gmail, things like that. These should all let you know right off the bat you're dealing with something that's not quite right. Let's take another look at this in Gmail itself, since I mentioned it a couple of times. Let's see if we can move this over here. And this is our friend James Franks. And James has received some emails from a guy he knows at work. The guy's name happens to be GonePhishing, and he's got a couple of them here, and he's like, oh, well, I better take a look at these. Well, he opens it up, and sure enough, here's our link, here's our QR code again, and, he's like, oh, what should I do? Well, if by chance you were to notice you ever had a Rick Astley at the bottom, definitely don't click on anything because they're going to get you. But in Gmail, you have this little black down arrow here that says show details. And it's basically equivalent to when we were looking at the header in Thunderbird email client a moment ago. So if you click that, you can see here, it shows you exactly who it came from and that it is supposed to go to you. And if either of these are off or wrong, because it could say to you and the email in that line be wrong, but you got it anyway. It's really weird, but all these different things can happen. And you can see down here, it says it was mailed by hacku.pro, which actually matches up with the email address. So this might be a legitimate email. But even if we think it's legitimate based on looking at that, we know we have to double check one way or another because this wants us to click on something. So pick up the phone, call your IT department and ask them, hey, is this legitimate? And they're probably going to say, oh, thank you. One person called to say to find out first. So now we look at James' email and he has another one here. And I just wanted to show you this one so you get an idea of now. And the other one was Hacku Pro, and in here it's hacku.info. And this is the sort of thing that you'll look for. Do the emails that they're sending me match up when I look in this header information? And that's what this is, header information. It's telling you some things about the email and where it's actually from, because this line right here, they can pretend. That doesn't have to say the truth. But when you click and you look in here, this is more legitimate. You're going to say, okay, that gives me some confirmation that this email came from who it purports to have come from. So just a couple of quick things you can do to watch out for yourself when it comes to avoiding a phishing email. And let's pull the other one back up. And remember here, when you have your own email client, when you get the email open, you often have the ability to scroll the header. And basically the same information, just in a different format. You can see here we have our Hacku Pro, and that does match up with at the top who it said it was coming from. Thank you very much. Phishing attacks are going to happen. In fact, phishing attacks are happening around us all the time. But our antivirus softwares and our firewalls that are being utilized, they help protect us. Even our email provider helps protect us. But unfortunately, none of those protections are 100%. So let's avoid having the shocked look that this guy does because he knows he just got phished and he could have done something easy to avoid it. They get the phishing attacks and the people using them, they get more sophisticated. You have to evolve with them and try and recognize something that seems weird, because unfortunately, Bad guys, they are going to do bad guy things. They are going to make their best effort to mess up our workflow and take from us so that they can profit. Now, sometimes the bad guys, they might find information that the company absolutely cannot let out, and they can perform a ransom. And companies often pay these ransoms because bad guys, their ultimate goal is to steal money for the vast majority of them. Now, there are some, say, independent actors that aren't trying to be that sophisticated. They just want to throw a monkey wrench into everything. So they're just trying to steal our time. And they can steal our time, of course, a little bit by us, thwarting their phishing attack, or they can steal our time a lot if their attack is successful and we help them along the way. And then, we have a computer virus. And unfortunately, it may not be contained to simply our PC. It can be, any number of different words for the same sort of thing. Malware, spyware, scamware, all these things can steal our time. But remember, we can avoid that. All we have to do is be vigilant, aware, and suspicious. And pick up that phone and call the person who sent you the email. Did you really mean to send me a PDF that I have to download and do all these extra steps for? Or should I call my IT department? So if you can't get that person, do call your IT department. Do take a look at those headers on the email if you've seen examples in this video. Do ask your IT department to take a closer look if you're unsure, because the few minutes or maybe half an hour it takes us to thwart these people is far less time than fixing the mess they made afterwards. And remember, when you're checking for email headers, you're looking for spelling errors. You're looking for domains that don't match what you expect. You're expecting .com, instead you see .net or some other country code that you've never even seen before. But hopefully we can avoid these phishing attacks and just get back to doing our jobs. Just get back to using email as the tool it is meant to be and not the giant risk that it can turn into. Thank you very much. Be safe out there.